Hi everyone, Adrian Player here, investment mortgage broker. In this video, we're going to be talking about a LinkedIn post that I did 9 months ago, and then again, I reposted it on my LinkedIn page 5 months ago. I'm just going to go over to the other screen, we're going to read it out, and then we're going to talk about it. So this is a post surrounding the first home buyer offer that came out in October of last year while the government was talking to you surrounding affordability for first home buyers. And this was my response to that kind of incentive coming out at that time of a 5 to 6 year property bull run in Australia. And first home buyers being thrown to the wolves at the end of a property cycle. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about it. So we're going to read through it. So they are lying to first home buyers. I'm a big believer in market cycles. I follow 5 to 10 macro experts and economists from across the world. Look at this graph. Look at when these changes to the first home policies come in. The 1987 crash, the 2000 crash, the 2008 crash, the 2020 crash, and now. Both sides of politics. They tell you it's to get the first home buyers into the market. What they don't tell you is it's just another way to inflate housing prices. Then household debt goes up. Then more money gets sucked into the house prices to pay the mortgages. Less productive capital as it all goes to servicing loans. Then the event has occurred or is about to occur. Asset holders, especially investors with buffers, do really well during these periods. But the ones that have stretched themselves, especially those first home buyers, do it tough during these times. Those 1.2 million first home buyers in USA that are in default right now, many bought in the last 3 years after rates went up 13 times. I'm all about getting loans in the door and helping first home buyers, but let's not be disingenuous and be honest about what's really happening here. Hashtag play life. And then let's go ahead and click on this and then we're going to talk about it. So what are we seeing on the screen? So we're seeing Labor, we're seeing Liberal, and I just want to be 100% clear here. I'm agnostic to all sides of politics. All sides of politics want to milk the millionaire, and all sides of politics have failed this country massively over a 20 to 30 year period, and all sides of politics are leading every single Western country into a managed decline setup. So I don't care which party you talk about or who you want me to vote for and who's going to save what. They're all bought and paid for as far as I'm concerned, and I just keep to myself and my family and try and have as many kids as I can, and I try and put my family first. That's how I view politics. All right, so what are we seeing on the screen? We are seeing Labor and Liberal, no matter what it is, at different points in the cycle, and what you can see is every time there is a structural change to the first home buyer policy, every single time there is a huge event. So what happened in the late 1980s? The interest rate crisis, right? What happened in the 2000? The dot-com bust. So that was the tech bust of the stocks. Okay, what happened in 2001? After the tech stocks busted, then there was a big downturn. Then what happened? Then we had the GFC, the global financial crisis in 2008. Then what happened? 2019 in May, that was just after the off-the-plan properties fell off a cliff and just before COVID. Okay, then what happened? Then we had COVID, and then rates started just at that point, were just about to go through the roof. All right, then what happened? So let's talk about that May 2021 one. So all these people got juiced up into the first home loan deposit scheme, and then what happened to the first home buyers? Rates went up 13 times. Then what happened? Then we had October 2025, And what has happened since? Structurally, negative gearing is off the table. Trust lending is off the table. What else have we got? We've got structural changes with SMSF, resi lending. We've got attacks on borrowing power. So we've got APRA and ASIC coming in and maxing out the borrowing power at 6 times DTI, debt to income ratios, and telling banks that they can't do more than 20% lending above 6 DTI. And then what have we seen? We've seen 12 to 18 months straight of living expenses going up for benchmarks that are set by the banks. And then what are we seeing happening? We're seeing limitations on the amount of interest-only lending that you can get. All right, this was completely foreseeable. All these things that are happening in the market. So one, what do you take from this? One, follow my LinkedIn. Go and find me. You'll see the post. This was 9 months ago. I reposted it 5 months ago. Two, if you're aware of these things, and it's very easy to be aware of them, they're so blatant, that you can be part of the 5 or 10% of people that are ahead of the curve. All right. I got rid of all my 9 resi properties by the end of last year. And a lot of mine, I had plans 12 to 18 months out into the second or the third rate cut to sell into momentum before what I saw coming. And then at the end, just before I sold my last 3, this change happened in October, and then it juiced up all of the prices. So I thought I was getting 710, then I suddenly got 750 and 760 within a month and a half of this announcement coming out. All right, it juiced up everything. I got 50, 60, 70 grand extra on every one of my properties, and the properties were all hitting affordability limits already after a 5 to 6 year bull run. So one, be informed. Two, go ahead and sign up to my LinkedIn. And three, if you want to be part of the know, and look, I'm not an economist, I'm not a financial advisor, I'm not an accountant, but I do a hell of a lot of research and I put my money where my mouth is, all right? And I don't just tell you to do this, that, or the other. And I know this, that a lot of the investors out there are not the same as me and they need to apply this information differently, right? But I'm very clear about, if someone asks me, I will say bluntly what I think and what I'm doing, all right? I'm not right all the time, but I've been around for 17 to 18 years and pretty much every call that I've made in the last 2 to 3 years has been bang on point. And I've made a lot of mistakes in my past, just like a lot of other people, but if you track these things and you stay on top of these things, there's about 5 to 10 macroeconomic economists that I follow. I follow a couple of demographers. I follow a couple of people in geopolitics, following everything that's happening across Western countries. And I think a lot of what's happening in UK and Europe is a roadmap to what's happening in Australia. And I focus on the fact that Canada, Australia and New Zealand, as well as America, isn't too far behind what's happening in Europe and UK. So if you're aware of these things, you can make good choices for your family. And I'm a big believer of identifying the trend and making money from it. All right. A lot of people can look at these things and can get very downtrodden and very negative. And I don't suggest to do that. I don't suggest to jump onto social media and argue with people and try and change things or spend your time or energy in a negative fashion. I suggest that you just notice the trends and try and make money from it for your friends and your family and your local community. And if you do that well, you will do well in life long term, and it allows you to get in front of the herd. If you have any questions or need to send me a message, please give me a call or send me an email. More than happy to help. All right, take care.